Happy Friday to all across the Delaware Valley, man. It is Father's Day weekend, and that'll be a big theme of the show. Father's Day, man. So we get our moment. Mother's Day is an event, right? It's almost a week, at least a weekend. Father's Day, you get like 10 minutes, but it's still good, all right? You get your 10 minutes of love. We're going to devote the show to the dads today. This is the Anthony Gargano Show, presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Check out the TrueMark difference, the credit union difference with TrueMark Financial. Go to TrueMark.com/PHLY to find out all the details. All right. So, last night, panic in Fenway Park. There's a question mark at the end of that because this morning, as I make my rounds on my way to work at the Wawa and everything, gas station, the whole thing, people freaking out. Oh, my God, Nola gets shelled. The Phillies lost the series. What are we going to do? There's no JT. When's Turner? What's the deal? Oh, my God. And I don't want to say the relaxed thing, but it's amazing how we get spoiled, right? Like, we've gotten spoiled in a big way this baseball season. And my only advice, and it's less a directive and more advice for your own mental well-being. It's baseball. They're going to go through a funk period. And it could be now. Like, they got the Orioles over the weekend. And the Orioles are a really good ball club, and so are the Phillies. But again, they're shorthanded, right? No JT, right? We got the Turner thing going, Marsh. There could be a little bit of a problem this weekend. So I'm just prepping you. I mean, you got Ranger tonight against Bradish, who's very good. Ranger looked okay his last start. So let's see. Tomorrow, Walker against that lineup is frightening, right? Like that lineup, the Orioles lineup can rake right from the beginning. Like Gunnar Henderson, who's one of the best shortstops, you're going to get to know them. They're really good. Royceman, the catcher, they bat 1-2. They're nasty. And that one looks tough. And then Sunday, Father's Day, is an epic game. Like, I can't wait for Sunday because it's going to be a great sports day. Obviously, it's the final of the Open. You got Phillies Orioles, and it's Zach wheels up against Corbin Burns. That's a great matchup. That's like old school baseball, two horses on the mound, head to head at Camden Yards. There's going to be a lot of Philadelphia people making their way down the Camden Yards. It's going to be incredible. Absolutely incredible. So looking forward to that. It'll be a big weekend. My only point is that they could lose 2 or 3. Baltimore's a good team. Saturday's going to be tough with Walker pitching against that lineup. I'm not in love with the matchup. So who knows? But my only point to you guys is don't sweat it. There's going to be lots of, ups and downs the rest of the season. They're really good. What we're seeing now is a legitimate team. So they lost the series to Boston. You're going to lose a series. They just spoiled us. So it was just funny how, and I don't blame anybody. Like, listen, it's almost stunning when they lose, right? Like, oh my God, they lost the last 2 games. They lost 2 in a row. You're like, oh my God, what happened? The Phillies are this good. It's cool, is my only advice. Just, it's baseball. And sometimes we get lost in the moment and we expect them to win every game. They're a good ball club and they're not going anywhere. However, there is some concern today, and it has nothing to do with baseball. So last night, Florida wins again. The Celtics can end the series tonight in Dallas with a sweep. So Florida's up 3-0, and the Celtics are up 3-0. And I look deeper, and we've touched on this before, but you look who has been the mainstay, really the MVP of the series, and it's Drew Holiday. And Drew Holiday was the guy who started the process. When Sam Hinkie came in here long ago and began the process, Drew Holiday was the first move. He was the guy who started the process. And now, all these years later, he's going to lead our blood rival, the Celtics, to a world championship. And it's sickening, right? Now, on the ice, you look at who the goaltender is in Florida. Sergei Bobrovsky, the Bob. And if you go back in the annals of we need a goalie, Mr. Snyder, Ed Snyder, desperate, seeing like, I got to win. I got to win it again. And, Ed, God rest his soul, would throw all kinds of money. He would do whatever he could until the NHL got a cap. He was all in every year. And this was like the beginning of the issues that the Flyers had. They're desperate for a goalie. Remember in 97, when they're in the Cup, they were a goaltender short. Otherwise, they might have given the Red Wings a series. Well, they have Bob, but they want to upgrade from Bob. And they go get Yamangas. That's right. They go get the other Russian goalie, who was a complete disaster. We remember how crazy he was, how he was a blast and insane to talk to, but he was out of his mind, and he wasn't good. They gave him $50 million, Ilya Brizgalov. And I'll never forget, there was this talk about you couldn't have two Russian goalies on the same team. And it was like, no, that's a no-go. So they get rid of Bob, and they go all in on the Briz. And the Briz was a disaster, a humongous disaster. And I look back, and I see Drew Holiday, and I see Sergei Bobrovsky, and they're both about to win. And I look at that building that is quiet in South Philadelphia. If you look across the street with the stately link and diagonal to the Xanadu Baseball Citizens Bank Park, alive every night, there is the Wells Fargo Center. And it sits there quiet and dark when it comes to sports in spring and summer. And you go, what's up with that place? That place has been a den of goo, right? It's just been one loss after another. There has not been one championship there. We saw the Phillies win it on the home at Citizens Bank Park, right? We've seen all kinds of incredible games. We've seen the Eagles win the NFC Championship at the Link twice. And yet, the Wells Fargo Center has been nothing but losses and disappointment and bad hockey and bad baseball. And so I wonder, years ago, the Eagles had struggled at home. They were going through it was post-TO. It was a situation where they just couldn't win at the Link. And we were wondering, what's going on? It was 2 years where they were struggling to win. And so we had to do an exorcism. And I think we need to go in deep. Ghost hunters, priests, shamans, Wiccans. All right, we need them all to come together to fumigate the Wells Fargo Center, because there's something unholy that lives in that building. There's something that has just pushed these franchises into the doldrums. We got to cleanse the Wells Fargo Center. That's my mission on this Father's Day weekend. That's Popping Off, brought to you by Olipop, the soda that's good for you. Listen, my recommendation, Father's Day, one dad to another, crack open an Olipop and put some your favorite bourbon in it, whatever spirit you want, with a lot of ice, and you got some deliciousness. All right, it's the soda that's good for you. You can find it at Wawa and Whole Foods and all your spots. Let's welcome in the peeps. What do you say, JP? John Zapata, good hat, and the birthday boy.
Woo!
VG, Violations Greg. What's up, Gregory?
What's going on, brother?
Happy birthday, VG. Happy birthday, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, let's start with the Phillies. All right?
The fight.
Yeah.
Man.
All right. So this morning I'm making my rounds and there's panic everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Panic
Everywhere.
in
Panic
Fenway
on my
Park.
text
Yeah,
chains.
Trade Aaron Noel?
I mean,
crazy.
Listen, I know that the Phillies are great and they've had a great start. We can't look at, and this has been our problem. We look at everything through the prism of football.
Exactly.
We freak out over one loss. Like baseball, listen, baseball, a long season. Games come, you're going to lose games, you're going to win games,
Right.
you're going to go to streaks, right? You're going to have a funk, you're going to have a slump.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the sport. We love baseball. We know baseball, and yet we react like we've never experienced it before.
But we're a football town, and you can tell when stuff like last night happens. I mean, like, we were just giving roses to Aaron Noel, I feel like 2 weeks ago, and then yet you wake up this morning. Yeah, no one's going to deny he had a bad outing. But to some of the stuff that
He's
heard.
going to have 3 or 4 clunkers over the course of the year. He takes the hill every 5 days. He gives you innings. Every 4 or 5 times a year, he's going to get hit. He's going to get hit around. That's what it is.
But he's done this before. He always bounces back in the next outing.
Well, that's bad. But then again, that's starting pitching. But
we should know this is my point. We should know Aaron Nola after 6 years.
If you take the temperature of this city, you would think Nola has one game out of every 5 games. One good one out of every 5. The way they act with him.
He acts like he's Taiwan Walker.
Yes, they do. I'm bringing an early nug because I think we need this nug.
I want an early nug.
Apparently,
I
I
love a nug.
think they said this on the Phil's radio broadcast. Cardinals and Cubs, 2 teams that played in London last year.
Yeah.
They went a combined 1-5 in their first series after the trip,
That's good nug.
being outscored 42-18. And I don't know when it was said, but if the current score holds, Phillies and the Mets would both been 2-4, outscored 31-13. So I think this trip, and it's not just that trip. They had a ton of miles before that. What was it like? There are like 37 time zones they went through, like 14,000 miles.
You were in San Diego.
Yeah, they're missing a third of their lineup.
Right.
And it's their catcher.
Right. Who's the heart and soul of the team.
Yeah.
No try.
That's that. I do think you just got to put a pin in it. Like, you got to rely. Like, again, going from London to Boston and now down to Baltimore, you're going to have some sort of slip. Like, the last 2 games, sloppy in the field, right? Just not like they jump out early the other night with the bats and then go quiet. And last night you're just out of it early because your starter just gets blown up, and that's the game. I mean, that's textbook.
It was a ridiculous amount of doubles. It was every time the bat hit the ball, it was a double.
Yeah.
It was double. It was a double
Smacking
orgy.
that ball around.
It was a double orgy. The bullpen, some of those guys didn't pitch for like 7 days. It's, and the Dodgers lost 5 straight. And no, it wasn't even a blip anywhere. No one even mentioned it. The Dodgers lost 5 straight. They've lost 2 out of 3 after this crazy road
No one
trip.
likes us, VJ.
Randy Rubart in the chat, he actually brought a comment up that said the teams that went to London last year also got shelled on their way back from London. So it's going to happen.
Yes. It's that piece of it.
It's just bad timing with the injuries right now.
Right, that piece of it and baseball.
Yeah.
But that's baseball. Baseball, it lends itself to this, like ups and downs and slumps and streaks and hot streaks and cold streaks. That's baseball. That's what happens.
That's why that record, it's just pedal to the metal. That's it's a 70% failure rate is good. So it's almost impossible to have pedal to metal and win 120 a year. You're going to have your ups and downs. It just happens.
I know. I love to see it. I love to see them beat Seattle and beat that record. But this is like long season. Injuries come to play. It's like you get caught up in a lull, right? Like when they're playing great and you're night in, night out, it feels like they can't lose. You think it's going to last forever.
Yeah, it feels like it.
But then as, the summer gets hot or, the spring turns into summer and injuries happen and the season goes on and there's dog days and there's travel. And that's where you realize that this is what happens.
I just have to ask because, like, I think we're a great sports town. We've shown in the playoffs, like, how we support the Phillies, but why can't we put the football lenses down for the other sports? Why do we have to have that same mentality for baseball?
I don't know, dude. I just think it's the soul of the town.
I try. And the thing is, I try. Listen, I do a great job of trying to understand the fan base. For the most part, I do understand where we're coming from with a lot of these things, but the football lenses for the sports, I don't get.
Why. It's necessary.
Okay.
All right. And here's why. When you are this passionate and this emotional, we're an emotional town. We are emotional together. We react. Listen, cities have their own personalities, right? Like,
that's true.
Philadelphians we're our own creatures. We're unique people, right? We are. There's personality types in every city is real. We just happen to be very emotional, very reactive. And so we love sports. So you can't have the passion and the love and the craziness without the manic behavior. It's the flip side of the coin. You can't not have it. People can't just go, you can't go from Citizens Bank Park and singing that song and everybody freaking out, right? To the people understanding, go, oh yeah, I get it. No, the London trip and not react.
We are reactionary. I mean, you could be in the middle of an MVP season. Schmitty's had it, Bryce had it. You're going to get booed. Like we're reactionary. We're in the moment. Sometimes we can't see the big picture, but also the history of where we come from, I think, affects particularly the Phillies. 10,000 losses, the Whiz Kids collapse. So, there's history here. So people are just waiting. It almost feels too good right now. They're waiting for something to drop.
Yes, but it also starts into like we overlove and we love so strong that there has to be the flip side. Like you can't just turn it off. So if they lose a game, even though intellectually, I think everybody understands it, right? Intellectually, you get it. Baseball, London, injuries, everything we've just said. But you can't have the it without, it's the yin and the yang, man. It's the universe.
I get
that's just part of who we are. You just got to accept it.
The universe, humongous. I just thought of that when you brought that up earlier.
Last night ruins people's evenings. My parents gather around the TV, and sitting through that ruins their night. That's their night. This is the Phillies game.
I know.
They get shelled like that. People are at a loss, man. They get upset.
I get that, exactly what you're saying. I just didn't understand waking up this morning. Everyone, it literally, like, the fans with Aaron Nola this morning was like the Titanic. Everyone was just jumping off the ship. And that's what I don't understand.
That's what it is, though, dude. Like, I start the show by saying, hey, just FYI, this weekend, they could lose 2 or 3.
I think they might get swept.
Right? They could.
Don't say that,
The Orioles
Come
are
on,
good,
man.
and it's just the way it's set up right now.
No sweep.
I mean,
listen.
They're running into a buzzsaw.
The Orioles are hot. Look what they did to Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Like, they're hot. They're really good lineup. And, Saturday, you're already behind the 8 ball with Walker against them.
Right.
And then you got to go up against Burns. And Bradish is good. People don't know about Kyle Bradish. He's really good. He's pitching tonight. Ranger looked a little iffy last time. So, I don't know. I mean, VG's right. Like, they could get swept or they could lose 2 or 3. And my only point is take a breath and think about it before you freak out. And even though I say that, people are going to freak out. Like,
it's going to be, if they're not
Monday.
showing, there's going to be a lot of boos. This series has been sold out, and it's Phillies fans going down there.
It's going to be a boo show if they lose,
There's going to be some boos if they put up some stickers.
Oh, I know.
And that's going to be the story. Philly fans boo the Phillies in Camden Yards, right?
But
the downfall.
And nobody understands this nationally. You can't have one side of the coin without the other.
True.
And it's funny, like people go, well, you're so irrational. Yeah, well, we're irrational the good way too, and you don't laud that piece of it.
Right.
Like loving Bryce Harper. These athletes, seriously.
Yeah.
David Dahl was talking about, being here. Like, oh my God, this is amazing. This place. And every ball, listen, having covered baseball in many different stadiums, there's a lot of sleepy parks. People don't care. They show up late. They're barely into it. They're just there for the bobblehead or the hot dog.
Not Andrew. Andrew's not there for the bobblehead. He hates them.
That's why I brought it up.
Imagine playing for the Marlins, guys.
Well, it's like Kansas City. Like, all
Dude,
these
I was
places.
Pittsburgh, they don't spend any money, but I was in Pittsburgh right outside for college during the Bonds years. And they were always in the playoffs. And we could go down and walk up and get a ticket.
Yeah.
No matter playoff series.
Just to piggyback off what you guys are saying, Philadelphia these teams are a reflection of the city. And the city is a blue-collar city. It's a hardworking city, so we demand quality out of these teams. And when we don't see that...
I don't even know. Dude, I hear the blue-collar thing, honestly, like, that's kind of become a cliche. And you're right, like, to a degree we are, right? But I think it's deeper than that. I think it's our personality type.
Part of it is
we
we have chunks of Irish and Italian here, and they're very passionate people. They blow their tops when they get angry.
Right, we're an old. We're a melting pot, right? But it goes back to almost the soil, the Puritans versus the Quakers, Boston, Philly. Like the Quakers were always about the group, and we're just these emotional beings. It was funny. We were joking around. But somebody did the meme of, sent me and I used to play it all the time in the show as a drop, when Frank Rizzo was the mayor. And he's like, listen, you crumb bum.
So good.
He's crumb bum. Oh, they're the best.
Do you not know that clip?
You got to find this clip. The clip is, and play it as a nugget.
There's like a reporter trying to ask.
So
you said it.
Yeah. So there's a reporter from probably Channel 6, right? And he's there, and he's there waiting on the corner as Frank Rizzo. Now, this is the mayor of Philadelphia, right? He's walking his dog. He's got the little dog. And Frank was like this big hulking guy. And he turns, and the reporter's there. Any comment, Mr. Mayor? And he turns around, and first he walks past him, then he walks back, and he kind of gets into his space, right? And he's big, right? So he's using his body, and he goes, listen to me. I'll take all three is right here. We'll go in the back, turn the cameras off. We'll go behind that wall, and then we'll have it out. Me versus the three is right now. How about that? And he goes, but you won't do it because you're yellow. He says you're yellow, and you're a sniveling coward, and this is what it is, you creepo, crumb-bum. Oh, it's great. And all I kept thinking about, as I'm watching this, is like, wow, that's the mayor of Philadelphia offered 3 reporters to fight him in the back of a schoolyard. Like, that's Philadelphia. And so you wonder why when Aaron Nola gets shelled, and people go, he stinks. Trade him. Get up. This is who we are as a city. We react. We can't have. You get how many million people in the Parkway to celebrate the Eagles parade, and people talking to their deceased relatives and crying. You can't have crying tears without the fight. So don't look into it. Just accept it.
I think he was just, let me put my dog away. I'll put my dog away. I'll come back.
He was like, listen, I'm 50 and 60 years old man, whatever it was, I'll fight you. I'll go here. Oh, yeah, you offered him out. All 3 of them. All 3 is. And then whoever comes out, but you won't do it. You're yellow.
We've got some wacky mayors in the city. Holy crap.
It's awesome.
Well, that's Philadelphia.
That is hilarious, though. That's crazy.
That's Philadelphia. Our mentality, that's who we are. It's so interesting. We're such unique beings.
We are.
I've always been fascinated by it, to be honest with you. I am. I like fascinated by the whole thing. All right.
We all silly like the mayor.